Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We're working our way through the Malazan books in publication order. We are currently on House of Chains, talking chapters 8, 9, and 10 this week. For next week, we'll talk chapters 11 and 12. I think I only have two chapters down, I believe, in the reading schedule. If you'd like to join us for these discussions, please check out the Page Chewing forum. We have some threads there that we have some posts about whatever chapters we are reading after reading along with us. I think that's everything. We'll go around introducing ourselves, talking about what we'd most like to discuss this week. For myself, it's that conversation between Charles Singer and Onrak. I forget what the subject was, but it was very, very intriguing. I'm going to go look it up while you guys tell us your
Absolute
thing.
crazy way to start this. Just next level.
Professional podcast.
Seems like you're very interested in it.
I am. It was just really deep and I forgot what it was about. Okay, Carl.
Yeah, I'm Carl, and this is my second time through the whole Book of the Fallen, a second time reading House of Chains, and I am most excited to talk about Leoric. I have on Riverside named myself Leoric's the number one fan. I was calling him out, supporting him last week, and I'm going to follow through on that this week now that we get some more of him. The fun part is I don't actually remember where his story goes. There are certain things I remember about his character, but for all I know, he's going to commit war crimes in the future. I don't know, but I'm staking my claim, and Lorik's my man. Dan.
Yeah, I'm Dan. I'm reading this book, and I'm interested in. I think the part I'm most interested in talking about is the reveal at the end, sort of like of Corporal Dawn's subterfuge or backstabbing plot, and how that fits into everything else.
That's a good one. Good call.
Yep. And then Shannon?
Yeah, my name's Shannon. This is also my second time through the Book of the Fallen. And Varsha stole my thing I'm most excited to talk about.
Do you remember what it was?
Well, the thing, I generally wanted to just talk about them. Like, I love their chemistry. I love Onrak. He's more than just the replacement for Tool at this point for me. Like, he's my favorite IMAS at this point on. But a lot of, they talked like the Hounds of Shadow and the Hounds of Darkness and just a whole bunch of stuff. But I will say I did like from chapter 8 the stuff with Grub and the bone, him given the bone to and all that. I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Like what the soldiers do with it. Like, I think that was really cool.
Yes. Shall we start there? Because it's chapter 8 and you have to go soon too.
Sure.
Cool. So, wait, where do we start? With the inspections and Cuttle showing up to with some more munitions, and Fiddler intervenes and works with Cuttle. Cuttle, that's his name, right? The sapper who shows up.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of soldiers who are being unruly as hell because they're all new recruits and they've apparently forgotten everything they've learned during their drills. And
You're also not wrong. They do at the end of it have a lot of shoulders as well as tibias, toes, fingers.
Fair enough, with the bones. Mostly
Ribs.
finger bones. But wait, was this? Yeah, this was the time when Grub shows up with the bone in his hand, and that is interpreted as an omen for a child leads us to our death, which is interesting. That's an in-world thing, right? Or I mean, I guess we can sort of understand, knowing what the omen is, we can sort of backtrack and figure out what the parts of what parts of what happened make up the omen, but like, is there a real world equivalent?
I think so.
What I mean, do you mean in like that omen literally? Do you just mean in terms of omens of death? Like, is this
Like, if
referencing something? Like, what do you mean?
so I had to have it spelled out to me. Like, I didn't know about like what I didn't understand the hushed voices and the sudden shock when Grub shows up until I think it was Fiddler or someone spelled it out and said a child leads us to our deaths. Like, I wouldn't have put that together. Like, okay, something bad is happening and that's it. So I don't know if I would have interpreted it in that manner without being told. So I was curious if you guys came up with it or if you needed to be told as well.
I didn't think it was. I mean, I might be wrong, but I didn't think it was like a specific omen, like if some like it has happened before. I just thought it was a general like bad vibe sort of thing, like maybe
Yeah.
similar sort of things.
I agree.
And people interpret it.
Yeah, I think, and I like what they do in this chapter is that, it's like when it happens, like a lot of people just take it as negative. Like,
Mhm.
oh no, like we're really going to our deaths. And then what some of the soldiers do is they take this and they turn it into something positive. They said, we're going to own this and we're going to make this, make this our own omen, basically, instead of this assumption that it's going to be our death, we're going to make it our life. And so I just really think that's awesome. Like that's, instead of letting this guide them, they're going to guide themselves using it.
And I love the lead up to it, the story that Fiddler tells about the snakes. And you think it's going to have a happy ending about someone owning what a bad omen. And it's like, no, that's how you don't do things. Here, let me tell. Yeah, so that was quite brilliant. And I'm loving the role that Fiddler's playing in all of this from the sidelines. And then Cuttle immediately disavows knowing Fiddler when I forget who asks him. Maybe it's Gamut. Says,
It's
"Do you
Gamut,
know
yeah.
each other?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Nope." But I want to give him a kiss for what he said.
Yeah, that was interesting to me. I would like to know how Cuttle knows him. Like, is maybe Cuddle's a local that met the Bridge Burners when they were over there originally? I'm not. I really have no clue. Because all we know about Cuttle at this point is that he's not new. He's the only one on Fiddler's squad that's not new. He's a veteran. He was in the chain of dogs. He was one of the guys that were wounded, one of the sappers. They got wounded, sent to Aaron on the boat. And then now he's been kind of drafted back into the army here. So, but I would just love to know how exactly he knows the Bridge Burners. Because he wasn't with the Bridge Burners.
I guess I just assumed he fought with them, not like as a bridge burner, but in one of the other companies.
Maybe.
But I guess you're right. We're not.
I don't remember where all the companies came from in House of Dead House Gates. Like I don't remember where all the soldiers came from. I don't remember exactly where he came from before he was with Chain of Dogs.
Were we also supposed to know? What do we know who the child is? Have we seen the child before?
So
yes,
you remember?
Grub was also.
Go ahead, Shan.
No, I was going to say yes.
Okay, Shannon, go. You're pointing at me. All right, I'll go. He's disappeared off the camera. Anyway, so you remember the child that Duiker handed off to Keneb, I think, at the end of Dead House Gates, and I believe they named him Grub, but also I'm pretty sure that child Duiker thought or assumed was a girl, or we were told it was a girl, but Grub
Where
was a
did
boy.
they get the child from?
Just one of the orphans of Chain of Dogs. I think found the kid.
Okay.
Didn't just
we have no
wandering
idea
around
who his
with
parents
them.
were. Yeah, he was just an
Okay, fair
orphan
enough.
child.
I forgot about
I
that.
think in Dead House Gates, the child was a girl, if I remember correctly, or was thought to be a
I don't
girl
know.
in any case.
I just remember Duiker gave him to Blistig before he, rode off to his death. That's all I remember about him.
I see.
And then I think Kenneth sort of adopted him or something.
Kenneth,
so.
sorry. He gave him to Kenneth.
Mm.
Because Kenneth was an Aaron by then.
Mm.
That's all we have so far about him.
That.
Wait, we're gonna get more?
Maybe.
I mean, he's coming along with
knows?
these guys. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything could happen. The kid with the bad omens coming along.
It's pretty legendary to be like, this teeny tiny child and just be creating omens and therefore inadvertently defining a whole army. It's like, that's wild.
Because and he's there because he was looking for his dad and couldn't find his dad and just came wandering away because he said something Neb. He couldn't say Kenneth properly. It's all very cute without the
very
bone.
cute.
I
And
somehow
where did he
assume
find the bone?
do you think there's no influence from something? I don't know. I was like half thinking that maybe there was some sort of, I don't know, maybe not a deity, but something influenced him to do that because it was very, kind of like an omen, I guess. I don't know. And omens here in these books sometimes are actually omen.
Yeah. In fantasy books, omens are omens. That's an interesting point. Like I often start by rolling my eyes at what someone believes in these books, and then I'm like, wait, this is a fantasy book. This could actually be true. This might actually happen. And
Yep. It's probably 100. This myth is probably 100% true.
all right, what else happens in chapter 8 while we're there?
Lostariel and Pearl,
Oh
right?
yeah, Cotillion, is that in this chapter or the next one?
I think it's 8.
Think
It
so.
was no, it's this one. It's 8.
Okay.
We got some
I love that.
backstory.
That could have been up there. That for my favorite scene, like that was really good. Everything with Cotillion, he's really, becoming more human again and actually expressing regrets while still being an arrogant prick. And Lostariel is such an interesting character. We get her backstory, which is fun. She was a shadow dancer and not even a very good shadow dancer, apparently. And her dynamic with Pearl is just delightful. I love them. I love their exchange. And as we can see, we're just getting started with all that. So good stuff.
And this is also where Pearl gets beaten up by Stormy, right?
That's right.
And they find out that Pelison is maybe dead, and they head out to Raraku to look for her, I think.
Yes. Yeah, they have a trail to follow now. But Pearl does not think she's dead, or at least he thinks that Felison was not dead when she got separated from Stormy and Gessler in Truth. Because they survived, so why wouldn't she survive? And Bowden and Haboric. But beyond that, they're just beginning their investigation.
So
one thing I thought.
Go ahead.
We're going back to Cotillion before we move on real quick. One thing I thought was really interesting was when Cotillion shows up, he mentions Losariel was a shadow dancer, and she was there with Bidithal at the temple he was working at. And he makes this, and I think I missed this last time I read this, but he mentions that like Quick Ben letting Bidithal go was the source of why Shadowthrone hates Quick Ben so much. Because he was supposed to kill him and he let him go instead, and so that's goes all the way back to the first book when we saw Shadowthrone hated Quick Ben so much, and I thought it was something more personal with him, but apparently it was this event, at least according to Cotillion. But
Why
it was
did
just kind of a quick little
let him go?
line. I don't know if it told us. I don't remember. He didn't know about the horrible things he does, maybe.
I thought in book 1 when he expressed anger, it was, oh, you're not my high priest anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and
He did say
yeah, but
that.
I guess we got a bit
Could be
more
all
of
of
an
it.
elaboration now. Yeah.
Well, and if he could have been the high priest. I guess Vidifo was a priest under him. That would maybe be why he let him go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Maybe.
It was interesting to see Quick Ben through Lostara's eyes.
Yeah, it took me a second to place Quick Ben in that like flashback,
Mhm.
the memory, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I had forgotten it, and so I mean I remembered she was a shadow dancer, but I did not remember the bit about Quick Ben, and he's described in a way that's not like, I don't know, it's not how I remembered him. His features, I guess it was just a focus on different features, which I guess makes sense when you think of like different people are going to focus on different things.
Yeah, I
But
think we were never told before just how long his fingers were.
exactly, that's the big thing, right? It was like, you're talking about that, I was like, who has really long fingers? Like, which
Yeah.
character has really long fingers? And then I gradually, when you start hearing more and it's Delot and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Ben Adefon Delot, it's
Mhm.
Quick Ben. But I was like, what is going on here? Who is this guy?
It's got those
With the
salad
long
fingers.
Long fingers. Oh man. So what's next? The deck of chapter 9. Oh, Kalam. We come back to Kalam.
Of course, our boy Kalam.
Uh
Oh yeah,
Getting
yeah.
in
He
touch
meets the
with-
Ashok regiment.
yes.
He runs
So
across. What was that guy's name? That was
he's
claiming to be a
it
lieutenant
is.
or something.
It is. Or do you mean Captain
Yeah.
Kindly?
No, Captain Erie's. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And we end up finding out he's like a corporal or something, really.
Yeah. So the Ashok regiment is the people inside the fort, right? Not the people trying to besiege the
Well, it's
the fort.
both. The ones are loyal that are still in
All
the
right.
fortress. The ones that turn traitor are outside.
Okay. And apparently, so we've met Captain Kindly and Lieutenant Force before, when they were trying to
Mhm.
arrest Kartha, and apparently now they fell into a well. Nobody
Yeah.
knows how or will say how. They just went exploring.
Yeah, I think it's very
into
clear
a
that
well.
they got rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody likes him. Ares hates him enough to besiege the fortress, turn traitor,
But
and
even
besiege
the
the
guys who
fortress.
stayed loyal to
Everybody
him.
get inside. We don't need to go exploring in the well.
But Kalam meets up. So he meets
you-
up with the rebels, hooks up with them, and then we meet Sin, who I thought was an interesting character.
Sin.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask what are everyone's thoughts on Sin, and
Interesting
especially Dan. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Sin?
Why should I have specifically thoughts on this?
Because she
I don't
was
know, she's an
dancing randomly.
Yeah, she's like
in the
clearly kind of
fort.
crazy.
So, why
Yeah,
me
that poison she used
specifically?
was horrible.
Like a young crazy girl who's like going around, murdering people. Like, that's pretty notable.
She
Yeah,
poisoned a bunch of people and then went dancing.
She poisoned him in such a way that Kalam felt he needed to go kill him because it was better than what she did to them.
Honestly, like, if I'm done with those shitheads, I'd probably go dancing too. Well, why not? You need a night out at the club after that.
Yeah, I was a bit, I don't know, because like he does a whole thing where he insists he needs to make it so they don't all drink the poison because it's terrible, right? But then when he releases the demon, and then I think he's talking to the corporal or something like that, and he's like, well, now all the people outside, they're all like, the demon has taken all of their souls. But he seems like he doesn't care about that. He's kind of like, I don't know, it seems
Do you take their souls or just kill them? I thought you just killed them.
The way it's implied, I don't know. It's implied something like he's taken their shadow or their soul. I don't know. It's not the way he says it. Didn't make me think that he just killed them. But it could just be a expression.
Yeah.
No, I think
Figure of speech.
it was the shadows holding up the ledge. So
Yeah,
there was
it, like,
a
climbs on the
balcony
shadow.
that was about to fall, and Kalam was surprised that the demon was holding it up by itself. But when he went closer, there were apparently a bunch of shadows holding it up, and they were getting ripped apart by the pressure too. And then later he thinks to himself that he thought there was something about the shadows, while saying, I think, that the demon killed them all. So I think
Maybe.
turned them into shadows or something.
Yeah, there
Is
might
that
be
better
something to that. I hadn't really pieced that
No.
together, but I think that makes sense. That's definitely a valid reading of what's going on there. Because there is something going on with the shadows. I mean, beyond obviously the demon could do shadow magic. You know, it's from the shadow realm. It was creepy. Definitely a very creepy scene that I'd forgotten about, and then started reading, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's this guy.
The demon is very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
If that scene which he's pissing in the tent and he's like, Khaled is like, oh god.
That was crazy. I hadn't caught how funny that bit is too, where Kalam is like this tough guy assassin who isn't fazed by the smell of like human feces and urine, and like can sleep right next to a latrine. Like they make a whole point of that he basically like pushes his senses away. But when the demon shows up with its double wang situation and peas, he just like loses it. It's crazy. It's actually pretty good plan and payoff there.
I mean, it does set fire to the tent, so I'm sure it's like
Truly
more than
horrendous.
normal.
Yeah, not normal urine, that's for sure.
I wish we could see more of the demons, because every time they're mentioned, they're mentioned like, in the demon's home world or something, like there's this and the jungles and whatever. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. I want to know more about it, but we never do, at least for now.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I look at the demons as just being alien life forms. Like they're from the Warrens, or maybe even other worlds that the Warrens connect to, and then they get captured and used by people.
Aren't the
I wonder if they're from
Shamal
Warrens or not. I don't know.
Aren't the Kachane Shamal also aliens? They don't originate on the main world.
I'm not sure.
Are the Kachane Shamal native to this world, and the humans either later evolved or aliens who came here somehow? Or
no, I
the
think
other
the
way
humans
around?
are native, because they talk about the Teist coming and invading, basically. I mean, it's all shrouded in mystery. And having read the first Carcanis book, and I actually started the second, I have some slightly better idea of what's going on there. But it's still like, I don't know. I'd also say it's contradictory. Don't expect straight answers.
Very tangentially related, but do we know if the world is a sphere? Like, is it a planet in space? Do we know that? Or we don't?
I think so. Because gravity definitely exists.
I mean, it could be magic.
We've seen moons.
Yeah.
And that makes me think it's a planet with a moon. Like,
I don't
doesn't
off the top of my head remember which book it's in, but they talk about like gravity as a science too, like as a force.
It could be flat world.
That may be in a later book. I don't remember, but it's not like a spoiler. I think it's like a proper globe, a proper
But there's
planet.
no mention of like going around the globe or something, like one side ending up connecting with the other one, or is there a mention of something like that? Because if there's something like, the planet mass left from this shore, and then it later mentioned they arrived on the other side, then I was like, okay, well, that points it toward being a globe.
I don't know. Something we'll have to pay attention to one day, see if there's any connections, because someone
on the internet made a big comprehensive map that includes all the continents.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
literally looking
I don't
at
know
it.
if they.
But
Oh, nice.
but I don't know if. But it's not official. This is just what fans have done.
Right.
I mean, Erikson is
Right.
famously cagey about it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I
About
don't know.
whether it's a sphere or not.
No,
No,
about
just
the map,
maps.
like where the continents actually are on this big fan map. Like, is this
Right.
actually where everything is?
Yeah.
Like, he's
Uh,
never really officially said. He's never said, yeah, this is the world. Like, this
Mm.
is just what
Mm,
fans think the world looks like based on the books,
I
My
see.
own
and
sense.
then based on the little like local maps that he gives. But
My
he's
own sense of
never.
all this is that all the Warrens are like planets, but some of them exist in like a different sort of dimensional space at the same time.
Mhm.
Like, I don't
agree.
think any of them are just like random flatlands, you know, like a flat planet or anything like that. No offense to the flat earthers out there.
Or the
Yeah,
ancient
I don't
Egyptians.
know. Because well, the chapter we're in, they're okay. So Trull and Onrak, they're in the War in Shadow, but then they end up in this field with some Hounds of Darkness that are imprisoned,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and then they find like was it a city with a portal that went to the Warren of Light? So yeah, like
Yeah.
how does that all relate? I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think we'll ever
Because
know.
yeah, the big
Not
field with the
certain.
2 statues doesn't look like the Warren of Shadow we've seen anywhere else.
Wormholes.
Yeah,
I mean,
like that's yes,
literally.
that's kind of the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of with the Warrens is they're wormholes to places.
They are these portals that just like take. I mean, they're like literally
Mhm.
wormholes. They're just like fantasy wormholes.
Yeah,
Was
and to me that's how the
Hmm.
demons have always been described, as they live in places that these connect to.
I
So
just
they're
wanted to
not
check, like,
like we
this.
think of like demons
Okay.
from hell. They're just demons from another place.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
I-
go ahead, Dan.
No, I just wanted to check if I remember correctly. Like, the statues with the hounds, are those in the same warren, like the flooded warren, or are they already in the other one?
No, they're in the
Did
flooded.
they? Yeah, I was gonna say I don't
Okay.
remember them leaving that Warren.
They have not left.
Okay.
But wait, but the Warren of Light, that's a different warren, right? Oh, but they haven't
Right.
gone. There's only a portal. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They
They find the
do not
door, and the door
left.
was warded,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
and then they
remember.
break the ward, and the ward, and it was warded from their side, so it does seem like it was warded to keep them out.
Yeah.
And then we get
Makes
to
you
meet
wonder.
our first Tisliosin,
Yeah, that was
Boy,
a
are
fun
they
exchange.
assholes.
who are singularly awful.
Maybe they have
I
a
do
reason.
love the
Hey,
bit
Charlie, you
at
want to be
the
our servant?
I love at the end of the scene the like classic Erikson subversion of tropes where Troll runs off screen or off page, if you will, brings back up, and in a normal fantasy story, in your typical fantasy story, that backup is like, you know, badass and saves the day and rescues them, and the heroes all cheer, blah blah blah. And in this one, the Talani mass show up and they're immediately like, "Oh yeah, we want to kill this guy. We sentence you to death." And so it's like they're just caught between a rock and a hard place. Like he just made the situation worse for them. It's pretty legendary.
It's pretty funny. They're like, "Oh, we want to kill this guy." They're like, "No, we want to kill this guy."
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. We do learn a lot about the all the Teist races and the different elder Warrens and their relationships to the newer
Mhm.
Warrens, and it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. I remembered the part of the conversation I wanted to discuss. The
All right.
well, yeah, okay. The thing about the stones, giving shape to power helps control it,
Mm.
and that whole conversation they have about whether power is shapeless or does it even only start existing because you give shape to it. And then And then they go on to discuss, I think, about Tistidor being fashioned by Mother Duck. And then they say they have a discussion about whether the Tistidor were separation of something that was a part of something else, or if they were created from scratch. So anyway, it was all a very fascinating conversation that made me think a lot. That's all.
I do think in the Malazan universe, multiverse, whatever we want to call it, that power is both created through that sort of belief and imagination, but it does seem to be like some amount of just natural, fundamental forces existing. And the Elder Warren seem to embody those forces. That's my sense of it, at least.
Power is most definitely created through belief and stuff in this world. We know it, the Ascendants. We know it, in the next chapter. The whole bridge burners ascending, the Thanos spirit song, that gets re-brought up. And, that's this song is creating their ascension.
Right.
And the belief in them. So, yeah, so
Absolutely.
it's, and that song is in its way, it's its own relic, its own, just like the statues, it's something to form it and make it into something. So I think that's very deep, Varsha. I was a lot more shallow. I just liked the back and forth between Troll and Onrak. And I was really struck reading it how I think Onrak is so full of crap. Like he keeps talking like he's the baddest badass in the room and he doesn't care about anything but he clearly does. All of his actions show he really does. Like he didn't have to warn Troll and then stand on the bridge and try to, defend him. Like he could have just let Troll die, when the Leosin came along, or get captured, whatever. But but he keeps talking like, oh, I have no emotions, I don't care. And so so earlier in this chapter, he gets tore up by which I thought that was interesting. He wanted, he was talking about the Hounds of Shadow, or the Hounds of Shadow. I think at that point he's like, yeah, I want to run into him just so I can fight him. And it's like, what? And then he goes
what
and
was that? Why did he want to fight them so badly? And then he lost basically his entire body.
Yeah, he breaks not one but both statues, and then they destroy him because what else do you think was going to happen, Troll? You're kind of, or Onrak, you're kind of dumb.
I think he's suicidal, like straight up. I think he wants to die. Like he's driven towards death and feels a sense of like ennui about his lack of ability to achieve that because of the their curse, their pact that he does feel isn't there anymore.
That's true. He does talk a lot about that, about how they made this, they did the Talon ritual and they've kind of outlived the purpose of it. He talks about, he threatens the Leosin with it. He's like, I've been saying for a long time we need to find a new enemy. Somebody arrogant enough to need to be fought. Maybe you guys are it.
I will say about all that too, or about the Hounds of Darkness, which, sidebar about that, we are also told that there's this legend that they were the emperor of the first human empire, and then he became a divers and split himself into these 8 hounds.
But could that be possible? Because they also say the Hounds of Shadow were splintered off the Hounds of Darkness, and he says they ran into the Hounds of Shadow during the Talon First Empire. I
was wondering that as well.
So none of that actually adds up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I agree with that. It feels almost like circular logic that he's working off of there, but I don't know. But getting back to the Hounds of Darkness, one of the tropes of this series, just within the Book of the Fallen, or actually beyond the Book of the Fallen, just things Erikson writes, is people come up against some chained, if you will, being, something or someone trapped, and just decide on a whim to free it, not really considering whether or not that would be a bad thing, or they consider and they decide, fuck it. That's happened twice in this book already. And this is, these are not the only instances that this happens. I think it's very funny on a reread, noticing these things that like come up again and again. Like Erikson really loves this, stumbling across some crazy, mysterious, powerful being that is trapped and being like, maybe we should break those chains, move that rock, see what happens. Not good things.
Especially for no reason, right? You don't need to do it for some other purpose, right?
I think, I mean, it varies based on scene what you could like describe as the motivation here. I think oftentimes it's relating to that theme of compassion, of like, you know, you see someone suffering and trapped and you think, well, if they'd been here for like thousands plus of years, then maybe they kind of deserve to be freed. Not really thinking about the possibility that, you know, one, why were they trapped in the first place? But two, maybe that really messed them up being trapped that long, and now they're just going to be like a violent maniac. But regardless, I think it's often meant to be an act of compassion. Here, however, I do think it's related to Onrak's desire to just like get himself killed.
I thought it was just, I don't know. I've been noticing that a lot of these planet masks like to fight. Basically.
Oh yeah,
and they like to be like,
Mhm.
oh, you seem strong, let's fight. You know, there was a whole thing with Tool even before, but I guess he was the first sword. But we've seen other ones too exhibit this sort of desire to prove their strength versus someone else to see who's stronger, right? So
wait,
what it
now
was
that you're
some of it.
mentioning this, okay, Shannon, you know more about the Segula, so I'm gonna not look at your face as I say this. But what if the Segula are in some way related to the Talani Mass? Like the Talani Mass inspired their culture? Because you make a great point there, Dan, that they both seem really into fighting. The Segula even to a more extreme extent, and the masks are described in such a way that they could look like a bone mask, like a skull face, right? And so it might make sense if like over the years that evolved into their masks as like these symbols of strength, if they're inspired by the Talani Mass.
Could be.
Anyway,
That
I
makes sense.
also, that's my theory. I think I was interrupting you as you said we're saying something, Dan.
No, I was finished.
So I had another question about the hounds. So the hounds that trail Shadow Throne, those are hounds of shadow? Or are they hounds of
Yes.
darkness?
For how to say.
Yes. The Sounds of Shadow.
So the two that were trapped here for some reason, they were hounds of darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Point
There's just
wrong.
like random.
Well, but I liked your theory, or was it someone else last time? There was like these were the two hounds that escaped from this sword, right? So it could be that maybe there's a fragment there, and then it got merged together or something, right?
That's what I thought. But then, if we believe Tralsingar and Onrak's interpretation that they are hounds of darkness, then these are some other hounds. Or
No,
have
but the
been
hounds
explicitly
of shadow are pieces of the hounds of darkness. I thought that's what was implied.
So then,
in some way.
And because they went into the realm of darkness, those two hounds, did they become hounds of darkness?
Or I thought maybe there was like another piece of the hound of darkness inside those statues, like sealed in there, or something like, or maybe it's like I don't know, some sort of carapace they can wear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
I think they're different species.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not positive, but I also feel that this, what you're referencing in terms of like the Hounds of Shadow being like kind of broken off from the Hounds of Darkness, I think is a metaphor for them like being bred out of the Hounds of Darkness. Because we know darkness came first. And so I think it makes sense that Hounds of Darkness existed, and then as Shadow was developed, Hounds of Shadow were bred out of the Hounds of Darkness. Presumably with the help of some Hounds of Light or something, or magic. I don't know.
it must be connected with the Hounds of Shadow from his sword. Whatever, two, the same number, right? Or only
That
these
is
two?
an interesting coincidence, if it is a coincidence. I don't know.
I can't accept it's a coincidence.
Erikson does also
I think
just love the number 2, to be fair. Like all his team ups are but like duos. You don't see trios. You don't see groups of like 4 or 5, you know, you're used to a 5-man band. It's like always these duos we get. I mean, of course you have larger groups, but when we're talking about like particular, you know, smaller dynamics, it really seems to be usually, I mean, that's a trope of the series is the duos.
Yeah.
You may be right.
I don't believe it.
I mean, it absolutely may not be a coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that they're all connected, not to other random hounds that just showed up here for some reason. Like, because that begs the question, why only 2 of these shadows, like hounds, are alive? And that's the same as the 2 that escaped from that shed.
Okay, so I'm going to elaborate on this because some other ideas are occurring to me as y'all are talking about this. First of all, they go through the 2 hounds that are released. We know explicitly go into the portal into Curled Ghislaine. It's the gate to Curled Ghislaine. So in that passing, they would be exposed to a lot of like primal darkness. So that certainly seems like an opportunity for that to change them. Beyond that, we also learn in these chapters, or at least we're told, this is theorized, whatever, by my boy Lorik, that, I think it was Lorik, that the Jade Giants were giants that weren't even like trapped in Jane, but very possibly in their entrance into this universe, into this reality, they just like that process itself resulted in them being encased in jade. So maybe something similar happened.
Yeah.
That was Hiboric's theory.
Hiboric, there you go.
Your boy Lorik thought maybe they were
same-
just chains. Hiboric had the bigger theory about, like the magic itself caused
There we
that
go.
process.
Okay.
And then brings it all the way back to the chaining of the Crypt of God even.
So yeah, maybe it's like a cocoon. Maybe those shells are like cocoons for the dogs. My only question then is, why are the others just statues? Why aren't they also
2 dogs?
Like, the implication to me is that the statues were created as like a religious symbol to acknowledge the 8 hounds of darkness of Disembelacus. And 2 of them, I mean, presumably those statues were created because, well, those 6 additional statues were created because the 2 hounds already were there. So it makes me think that, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting mystery there. How the hell did those 2 hounds end up trapped and encased in stone?
Based on what you said, I don't know, because I also think of like Stormy and all the other ones that went through the fire warren, right? They also got sort of affected by going through it,
Absolutely.
right? Everyone got. So I think that theory of going through a warren in some cases might, imbue your body with some sort of power, it seems.
Yeah.
So I can believe, like, okay, so they went to Ghislaine, they went through in some way, and they snowballed all the dark energy, and then they needed some place to coalesce or whatever to anchor themselves. And then these statues, which were, like you said, maybe venerated by the people that live there, we know that, veneration or whatever belief imbues powers in things. So they're like primed to maybe accept something similar. Because again, they're very similar and similar attract similar things. So they just, I don't know, they just merge into these statues or something like that. It's just like an empty space that could take their power.
I guess I'm taking for granted too that there is no sextet of hounds as well, because I mean the whole idea is that those 6 statues that are just statues were created together.
Yeah, I assume there was. Those were the original 6 Hounds of Darkness, and
They just spawned there.
well, I don't know. There was something, and they made the statues, and then the 2 hounds which escaped from the sword was like, well, they need some vessel to accommodate them, and it's like this is the most appropriate or something because it's already been primed by the veneration of these people that made the statue. That's my theory.
I wish for the life of me I could remember what the flooded warren is. Which warren? We don't know, right?
I thought we had some
Curled
inkling.
Or curled Emerlon is separate.
Is it a fragment of Kural Damerlan? I thought it was.
Oh, that's right. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They do say that. They say it's a fragment of curled Emerlon. Which makes it like what? Just some random fragment? Or is it like one of the offshoots that we know
Maybe
about?
it's a major fragment. Who knows?
Mianis is the main Shadow Warren, right? Which is, we now know, connected to curled Emerlon. What's the other one they name? There's another Shadow Warren.
Rashan is what?
That's
also
darkness.
Shadow. Oh, darkness. Oh.
Fear,
And
Rashan,
Fear.
and Mianis are light, darkness, and shadow.
The triumvirate of Warrens that Lorik and Heberic were talking about. Okay.
There was a second
confused
Shadow
now.
Warren name, though. I swear. This is going to drive me nuts. Or maybe they just named Rashan.
Wait, I think I'm getting my shadow and darkness all confused. So Bidithal was the priest of shadow, but his warren is Rashan.
Is it?
Wasn't Lostara, she is like one of the shadow dancers for Rashan, right?
I think Mianis.
Was it Mia?
Because the Shadow Throne is about like who rules Mianis. Well, I guess there are multiple Shadow Thrones. There's the one that Shadow Throne literally sits on, and then there's the Shadow Throne that Anamander Rake has sent his people to guard on Drift Valley, which presumably is the Shadow Throne for curled Emerlon, and therefore all of Shadow.
Does Shadow Throne sit on the throne of Shadow? Because I thought he said it's empty and unoccupied, but he doesn't mind. Somebody I remember saying.
There are two thrones of Shadow. There's one in Mianis. And then there's the real one, or the most powerful, the primal one, that apparently exists on Drift of Valley. Which the Teist Andi that Anamander Rake sent are guarding. Was that seen in these chapters? The shipwreck and Cutter getting separated from...
Yes.
Yeah. And he meets one of the Drift of Valley Teist Andi.
But yeah, so I just checked. The Lostara thing is Rashan. Bidithal is tied to Rashan. So...
Okay, so maybe Rashan and Mianis are both Shadow, or is Mianis darkness?
No, Mianis is illusion, right? It has to be Shadow.
Right. Okay. Mianis is the path of shadows and illusions. Okay, so Rashan then must be... Okay, Makra. Makra is another Warren of Shadow. So that's the one I was thinking of, Makra. Wait.
That one is also
this is so confusing. Erikson, what the fuck? No, Rashan is the Warren of Darkness. That's what I thought. So I guess Bidithal, despite being a shadow priest, uses darkness magic, which they are related, but they're not the same.
See, Cotillion also uses Rashan, apparently, according to the wiki. So I don't know.
Maybe there's look at on the wiki there's a flowchart.
Show.
of the different warrants.
Oh, really?
Are you
Show,
being for
please.
real? I'm actually
Yeah. There's a flowchart. I don't know if I can. Can I? Yeah, if you go on the warrant here, the first picture is a flowchart of
This
how
is
they're
Nice.
connected. Maybe that's gonna help.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, I haven't even heard of the first warren. The Verdit Anath, the jagged
Yeah,
bridge of death.
we're risking huge spoilers by looking at
Yeah.
this.
Well, they're just names. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
gonna ever remember.
I guess
That's
you're right.
true. That
No
is
That's right.
lore here.
Makra is a related warren of illusions. It's the mind warren where the Queen of Dreams rules. Do you remember
Mm.
that?
Tyr is light.
Uh,
What's Rashan? The beast hold.
Rashan is dark. It's next to Kralgaling.
Wait, the arrows go both ways. What the heck?
They're connected.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
All right. Okay. I guess right now it's a question mark about Rashan and the priests of shadow. But moving on. Wait, did we talk about Katil already? We haven't yet.
We just started. We just mentioned him and Drift of Volley and getting separated from his GF.
Yes. I think that's all. And we met Darist, who's a Testandi, and who, unlike Anamander Rig, is actually aging.
Yep. Yep.
And apparently
I
Rake's agelessness comes from his draconian blood.
was gonna say he was calling for Rake to disavow his draconian blood and to become an old man and rule over them. Which is I'll admit that's a lot to ask of someone. If I had draconian blood that made me immortal, I don't know that I would want to do that either.
Yeah. But he could come to visit once in a while, you know? Maybe they'd be
Oh, for
less
sure.
bitter if he did.
Yeah, he's like the dad who, left to get a pack of cigarettes and a carton of milk and never came back.
Yeah. That. Mostly he's just bitter that he never came back. So,
Oh, Anamander Rake.
so what else? I guess the final chapter, Felicin is obsessed with, or Shaik, I should call her, is obsessed with what? The
I'm sorry, did we lose Dan? Dan
Yeah.
Dan is okay.
I think
No, keep going. Keep saying what you're saying.
sorry. Yeah, I guess they're obsessed with finding out the what's up with the House of Chains, and Heberic realizes that the Master of Deck is Paran, but he's
Yep.
not going to tell Felicin. And he has a private moment of mourning for all the ways that this family is at odds with each other. And then I think because of his reaction to that, though, Lorik comes and finds him and asks him for information.
At the same time,
Mm.
when they're I love that scene where they're all sitting around the table and like talking about the new deck of dragons and all that stuff. I just think it's really interesting. Both because it's like it kind of explores the magic and how it's changing the universe, but also because it's political. It's all a power play. And if you need another reason to not like or trust Bidethal, he's like, the House of Chains actually seems really pretty cool. I think we should be pro House of Chains, right? Like, we're the apocalypse. Let's go chaos. House of Chains, yeah. And clearly not a good idea or a good thing, right? We're anti House of Chains at this point. So yeah, that's just one more reason to not like him.
He
And
wants
circling
to
back to
trust
what
what
you're
he
saying,
doesn't know.
right?
Yeah.
We have Lorik, who is very mysterious and knows a lot of things that seems like he shouldn't know, and he knows a lot about Teist history. A suspicious amount, I would say.
Yeah,
He's
most people
also
don't
seems
even believe they are real people. So
right. He seems relatively, or continues to seem relatively moral compared to the other characters. He's not there on some religious crusade. He is. I forget, does he actually give a reason why he's there, or does Habork for some reason not even bother to ask him? Because you think that would be something you really want to press on the guy. But for the life of me, I can't remember if we find out what his, at least what he claims his motivation is.
I don't think I remember.
Okay.
No.
Well, he is like, seems like a decent dude surrounded by vipers, and he treats Habork with respect, unlike basically everyone else. And on top of that, you know, he's making power plays in intelligent ways, and he's, again, just mysterious and cool. Like, the dude's got swagger. I know more about him, so I can't really say more. It's weird,
Yes.
like, you know, having like certain things that I distinctly remember, and then other things that are just like giant blank spots about characters. But yeah, that's all I can say. I think I'm pro Lorik.
Yes. It's interesting how a lot of this reads differently when you know where some things are going or when you know more about some people. So, yeah. And it reads easier too because of that. Anyway, Karsa Orlong has finished his little replica of the Glade of the Seven, except he's replaced two of the gods with his friends, which is interesting. Like, were there 8 or 7 hounds? I can't remember. I thought it was 7. Is it 8?
There are 9 Hounds of Shadow and 8 Hounds of Darkness.
8 hounds
And
of
so now there are
darkness.
7 Hounds of Shadow because supposedly the other 2 are dead. But who
Okay.
knows?
Okay. So there were, anyway, two of those dog statues were replaced, and then now two of the 7 of Karsa's gods have been replaced with his friends, and then they sort of come to life-ish, and they decide to follow him on a quest. Before that, he has words with Urugal. He was apparently guided in the shaping of these statues. They wanted to be brought here, and so now they need him to go somewhere. What did they want him to do? Who knows?
But he seems to think, you know, he's not accepting their chains. He's not playing by their rules. They think they're playing him, but he thinks he's playing them. You know, as
Yeah.
evidenced by what he does, you know, creating the statues of his friends, and he's told to destroy them and he does not. And now his friends are haunting him as ghosts. And he's
Fun
going to get
times.
a horse.
Yes. They think he's out on their quest, but he just wants a really large horse.
Which, understandable.
Yeah.
I get it. He's a big guy. He wants a big horse.
And Leoman wants to encourage this because he'd look really impressive riding down
Exactly.
on
That
a
is
giant
actually
horse.
hysterical now that you put it like that. Leoman really is just like, I want you to be the baddest dude around. Like, that's like his entire argument. And Karsa's like, you know what? I also want that.
Yes.
Their dynamic is so weird. Like, thinking about it, they're so weird. They like clearly feel loyalty to each other, or at least Karsa feels loyalty to the Omen, and like there's some affection there, but they also feel like they're on the verge of like having huge arguments or fighting or something. I don't know. They just have a weird dynamic.
Yeah, there is a bit of skating on the edge with both of them, like how they treat each other, right? Yeah. Like they're afraid of setting something off in the other person.
Exactly.
Which is interesting now that you mention it. Yeah.
And Leoman leaves, right? That's the
Leoman
other
leaves,
thing that
yeah.
happens in that scene is he's like, all right, I'm done with this rebellion. Peace out. And we also find out that he just wants to eliminate people, period. He just wants to wipe everyone out. Says they're the worst thing, and so they should go.
Yeah. Everybody must go. Everything must go. Moving out in 2 days. Everything must go. Anyway, no, don't get messages like that on the message board. Uh, okay, and I must confess that I stopped 3 pages short of the end of the chapter. Dan said something about Camestrello actually being a spy. What was that?
Yeah, so I'm sad his tech failed. So
Yeah.
he is not here to discuss this, but essentially to summarize that scene, we are in are we in Camasrello or Corbolo Dom's head? We're in one of their two. I always mix them up.
Hmm.
The big mistake to have the two
Yeah.
traitorous, asshole commanders have K names.
Yeah. I confused
Not
them
just
too.
that, but like K names that are like 2 names
Mm,
and spelled roughly with
true.
the same letters, or the same amount of letters.
Mm.
Anyway, Erikson does it again. Basically what we get is that we learn Febrile, however you pronounce his name, is planning to kill Shaikh. And so they're planning to essentially, when the Malazans show up, Febril's going to kill Shaikh. The Malazans are going to kill Febril. And then they're going to all go and be like, hey, we're actually on your side. We're super cool. You should not cut off our heads and let us join you again. And look at us. Isn't that awesome? And then they're going to go and present themselves before the Empress and stab her in the heart and presumably take over the empire. Not even presumably. That's explicitly what whichever of the Ks thinks about how he's going to like bring order to everything and chaos is bad and he's just going to root out all the other races and rule with a strict iron fist and
What a
be a real
jackass.
tough guy about it. It just really makes you hate them. I mean, that's for sure. And they think that they're like really smart schemers. And I just hate to say that their plan is terrible. It is a terrible plan.
Yes.
There is no way it could possibly work out the way they think it will. And it's actually remarkable that they've, gotten this far. That said, it is not uncommon in human history or indeed today in our present moment for completely incompetent people to rise really far. And these two embody that. They are schemers who have no morals, or at least they're no ethics, certainly. And they're just bad at what they do. But here they are.
Here they are, the lead commanders of the army, or whatever the title is.
Again, this is why I like Lorik, because he's the only one of them who's remotely competent. Like, everyone else seems like such a loser.
Yeah, he
Bidithal
actually
is the
knows
most...
like what he's doing.
Exactly. Like, Bidithal is the only, like, or not, he's like so obviously evil and someone needs to kill him. And Febril is like, apparently everyone knows he's scheming. And then there's the one like witch lady, and she's like not been mentioned, so I guess she's not that important. And then you have the Ks who are just like, again, so obviously evil, and I don't know why no one's killing them.
Yeah, and
Speaking
why
of,
Shaikh is putting up with all of them? What
exactly,
she knows.
Big
How
mistake to not take out Bidithal, especially. Like, Karsa, huge L there. Not killing him, come on, man. He even thinks about it. He's like, someone should just kill him. And he's like, well, you're right there, dude. Like, why don't you do that? But instead he goes to get a horse.
Yeah. I wonder why Leoman stopped him. Well, he said he doesn't want him to kill Birital. He was just hoping that Heboric will take Felison out of his way. Which will turn out great, I'm sure.
It really does feel like absolutely nobody other than Heboric, and then, of course, Felison Younger, who's not a power player, has Felison's best interests at heart. Like, not a single one of them. Like, even, Karsa, who kind of swore loyalty, we find out is not actually loyal to her and cares so much about her success that he fucks off and leaves her with all the snakes. It is really tragic.
Yeah. You mean Felison Younger or
No, I
Shaikh?
mean elder.
Yeah, okay.
Shaikh, sorry, Shaikh.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
just no one cares for her well-being. Shaikh Younger, I mean, it's kind of a similar situation, I guess. I am just thinking of or not Shaik younger, Fellison younger.
Uh,
Shaik, aka the older Fellison, I don't know. I mean, she's in this position of immense power, and clearly she's kind of fumbling with what to do with it. And she's surrounded by just no one has her best interests at heart. None of them are like actually even true believers, it seems like. It's pretty crazy.
that's true. The true believer part of it is all very interesting. But I do wonder if, despite how young she is, the fact that she's sort of basically a goddess of this movement means that people don't think of her as someone needing care and attention other than Heboric, who knows her origins and who she is.
Well, I don't even just mean that like trying to care for her per se, although you're right about that as well. But I mean, they're all actively scheming against her. Like they're just all, I mean, I keep going back to the word they use in the book, vipers. You cannot trust any of them. And, I mean, certainly it is very clear that Erikson does not have a very high opinion of these group of characters or this larger rebellious movement as a whole. They are portrayed as, just brutal, warmongering, backstabbing,
Yeah.
POSs. And most of them are like the people seem to be zealots. Like it does seem like there's zealotry, but the leaders are all like just Machiavellian maniacs.
Yeah. I forget who said it. Was it Leoman? That the Malazans brought justice to a very chaotic place. And maybe it was Karsa. And so the rebellion is essentially fighting against justice.
Yeah.
And I forget whose take on the situation that was, but
That was
that
Karsa.
was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
It is. It is interesting to get that perspective. I think one of the and this is definitely entirely born out of like the 21st century and like American foreign policy and things like that. But I do wonder, because this isn't like a perfect, it's not an allegory, but I do wonder if like this is even a situation where like the empire in question can even actually maintain itself in 7 cities, given like for, whoever knows how long, considering that they are so hated and that there is this like just intense culture of violence. Like I don't know like if it's actually smart even for the Malazans to be there. But clearly they also don't think it's that big a deal because they have sent very few soldiers there relatively. So I don't know. It's a weird
Yeah.
situation.
I think the people who garrison themselves kindly, their company, they're like, yeah, we basically don't belong in this continent anymore. This is not ours. We've effectively lost 7 cities. So yeah, it does feel like they're fighting a losing battle. Which, if Tavor say manages to pull down the rebellion, if she manages to defeat them, like, would they have effectively reconquered this place? I guess so, right? Because everyone who's opposed to it is part of the rebellion.
What are your thoughts about? Okay, well, so I'm gonna briefly go back to the like, we know the whirlwind, or at least the way it's talked about in like Dead House Gates, for example, is like this like fundamental like power in this place, or it's built up. It's like it's literally buried in the ground here. It is gonna come out, and so it does almost seem like it's like a doomed cause, the Malazan occupation. And it's weird because I like my natural inclinations are anti-imperialist, but of course this is challenging kind of those traditional evil empire tropes by like showing like the Romans, the ways in which like the benefits of civilization, or that type of civilization I should say, and that type of empire that focuses so much on maintaining its development. I have really mixed feelings about it all. I do think that Erikson, it feels like sometimes whitewashes the Malazan military because the soldiers are the main heroes in a literal way. And outside of the first book, of these books that we've read, it kind of feels like they're all just like, there are some bad apples, but it seems like the force is generally like quite good, even when they're like outright, conquering or like occupying. And I'm not against nuance, as I've talked about in the description or the portrayal, but it does seem like you don't see kind of the mass like resource extraction and like the kind of domination that also often accompanies imperial occupation. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about all of this? It's a weird situation, especially because it's a fictional world.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that it is very, I want to say confusing about like how to feel about all of this, because and I think for reasons similar to what you said, because imperialism feels like just unqualified, feels like a bad thing, or at least not
Right.
something that I would embrace really well. But then supposedly a lot of people think that the Malazans brought justice to this place and they did good for them. Like Torval Nom and Karsa are prominently among those who think that the rebels are fighting against a good thing. But and they put it, I think especially Torval Nom, he puts it in a way that, because there was so much peace, like things were rife for a rebellion, in the sense of everything's going great. So it's, there are these periods of really bad things happening in like our world history, and then things are quiet and stable. And
Right.
then when they are like that for long enough, again, like that gives room apparently for the less uh, palatable elements to rise to the top. And
Yeah.
I think what Norm says sort of implies that. But there's also the fact that, and I guess is sort of justified in the way the rebellion is presented to us as just like power hungry jackasses all around, right? Especially with that like last betrayal scene. That so there feels to be some truth to that, but also, given that all these perspectives are from the outsiders, I don't think we really know what it is that they are rebelling against. Is it just the idea of an external rule, or have they felt the oppression? Have they felt like something being taken away from them? Because I mean, I've heard arguments, like I've heard some random white people on the internet, not even British citizens, argue about how the British rule civilized India, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah. So that kind of reasoning is just not palatable to me, even if just because of my own history and upbringing. So
No,
I
absolutely.
don't know what to think about this.
I'm sorry, I'm dog sitting, and I'm dog sitting for multiple family members, and so
Oh
if you hear
wow.
whining, my parents' dog it's just me. So she demands my attention all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, that was a cute / annoying little sidebar. I love her, but it is a lot. Anyway,
Can't hear her
no,
though. So.
I'm with you. Where I mean, I feel like I would say overall, kind of the story of the last 100 years is like, for much of the world, is like about outgrowing imperialism, and like you still see remnants of that in certain wars being fought right now. But I think generally speaking, for a variety of reasons, we've kind of come to the conclusion that that isn't the right thing to do. And, you know, I admire Erikson like giving some additional nuance to that. You know, I mean, because again, like the analog he's really pulling from is like not the British or the US or anything like that. Mostly it's like the Roman Empire, and like Rome was famous for like building all these roads and building up aqueducts and doing all this different stuff. And like, you know, the golden age of Rome was like this era of peace within its borders. And so, you know, all the wars they were fighting were like exterior wars. And, you know, there's something to appreciate about that, but at the same time, that also overlooks the ways in which, you know, the Roman occupations involved mass violence on a day-to-day. Because like when we hear about the Malazan violence, it always is like one big event. Like it's we just kill the noble class and then everything's chill. You know, it's things like that, as opposed to like the kind of like daily, you know, tyranny. I don't know if that's the right word per se, but you know, the authoritarian control that is enforced upon like local populaces. And so I guess what I'm getting at is the same complaint I had in Deadhouse Gates, which is I wish we had more of a perspective of the rebellion, because there must be true believers. And so even if all their leaders suck, like, why do all their leaders suck? Were all the like decent people, or at least all the people who like actually genuinely believed in the cause, were they just like all killed off? The ones who maybe could have taken over, you know, like they're not there for a reason. And so what's the story there? I wish we had more input.
I mean, does it need to be a good reason is the question. Like I feel like this rebellion is being set up as a power grab, especially with everything that has happened so far with like Norm's interpretation and Karsa's interpretation of the situation, and the fact that it's like what did you call it, a nest of vipers, everybody
Yeah.
trying to get to the top and grab out. Like it doesn't seem like anybody is fighting for a good cause. So maybe that's all this is. Maybe it's just a bunch of people who want some power. Maybe they got together at some point, but like that is their cause. They want to be more powerful, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. We're getting a little dog cameo. No, oh, she wants my dinner.
She's tiny.
Yeah, she is. She's a little Yorkie. I mean, that's a really fair point, is that maybe this rebellion isn't actually the kind of zealous religious rebellion that we were led to believe it is in Deadhouse Gates, and that it is a much more like driven by, you know, Machiavellian power grabs, with maybe some zealotry used to like encourage specific, you know, parts of the populace. I mean, and I think that is worth mentioning too. Like any rebellion, it is a tiny minority of the 7 cities, like citizens. We're explicitly told that it's just like some random tribes and like some random groups of people who have power, you know, some priests and people like Bidithal and Febril and whoever. You know, in any war, it's a tiny portion of the population that actually fights or like actively, you know, plays a major role in it. So I think that's fair. I mean, that's an astute observation that perhaps the narrative we're told about it doesn't actually match what we see. You know, that this isn't a religious war. It isn't this like apocalyptic cleansing, or at the very least, the people acting in it are not acting to those ends. You then, of course, have to deal with the literal whirlwind, you know, this apocalyptic entity that you have to imagine is driven by certain.
Yeah, the religious fundamentalism / zealotry is very much seems like a tool to grab power, right? Like especially with the backstory we got about how the first Shaikh came to be with, like she was basically Bidithal's tool, and this Shaikh is kind of refusing to be, so she's in trouble.
Yeah, I really am just like so much more sympathetic to Felison, and you know, like I've always been a Felison defender just because I feel so damn bad for her, and I understand where her behavior like the worst of her behavior, where it came from. But she really is like, I mean, I think what she's doing in like a big picture is not a good thing per se. Like, not talking about even the rebellion, but how she is intentionally, we seem to understand, using this rebellion to get revenge against her sister. Like, that's why she
Yeah.
wants
Hmm.
it here, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, she is trying to do good within it, and
Hmm.
she's acting much more mature and, just being much more decent. And I just feel so bad for her, again, amidst all this. And
Yeah.
and empathize or not just empathize, but sympathize with her more than I did in Dead House Gates.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is interesting. Like I guess we carry that energy from Dead House Gates to here to continue disliking her. And but she seems to be largely okay with Heberick. She's not being cruel to him the same way anymore. Although, yeah, so yeah, you're right. I think there is more of her that we can sympathize with this time around.
She's just less mean, I mean, is the bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Which again makes sense when you consider she was like a teenage girl thrown into slavery, and then the most extreme circumstances, just trying to survive. And she felt like she had no power, no agency whatsoever. She's tried to seize that sense of agency wherever she could. And now she actually has some comfort. She has some control. She has a lot of power, even if she doesn't have as much power as maybe she thinks she does. It's
Yeah.
unclear. We're not in her head,
Yeah.
how comfortable she feels with the position she's in. But because of that, she's able to act more decent, which I do think is human. I mean, when people are pushed into extreme scenarios, it is not uncommon for people to lash out at everyone around them. And then when they are in a more comfortable place, to be kinder and to not, be relentlessly mean.
Yes. So we're seeing the tapering off of her meanness. Yeah. Or the tapered off version, at least, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What else do we have in these chapters? What have we missed? I feel like there's something we've missed.
Really?
Clearly, we
feel like
didn't have thoughts on Cutter.
not a
I
lot.
actually like those
Yeah.
scenes, but I don't feel like I have a lot to say about them. Like, he's just continuing to be sad boy, emo boy,
Yes.
and the Drift of Ollie, Taisandi, I think, are really interesting. Like, that's the thing that's most interesting to me about it, is what that says about
Mhm.
Animander Rake, and then about these particular people and the politics around the Throne of Shadow.
And the
Um,
idea of the floating island, which is pretty
oh
cool.
yeah, I mean, that's so cool. I love that as like that's like a mythological trope. Like, so
Yeah.
many cultures throughout the world have this idea of the island that comes like in and out of existence, or like you can only venture onto at certain years or times of year or whatever. And I'm a sucker for that. And Drift of
Yeah.
Volley, that it's just constantly drifting, and super cool.
Yes. Oh, very cool. What else have we got? I think we covered the larger points. I don't recall anything that happened that we haven't talked about. We talked about Trull and Karsa and Cutter. Talked about all the things that happened with Tavor and Fiddler. Kalam was mostly chapter 9. I
You know
think
what I will say about
mhm.
all of this? And Shannon noted this a couple weeks ago, talking about oh my god, what's his name? The big blue dude, the big Napen
Keeper.
dude. Yes,
Keeper.
thank you. Keeper, about his identity and everything, and how it kind of, the information is subtly interwoven, through the epigraph and everything. And I noticed the same thing here with a certain character that you, within these chapters, can discern like who they are, even down to the etymology of their name. And I just think it's really wonderful how Erikson writes it.
Wait, is it a spoiler for you to tell me which character you mean?
I don't think it's a spoiler. No, Lorik. I mean,
Lorik,
my
right.
boy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that by the end of this reading that we did, you can identify who he is. or
Yeah.
like in a broad sense, not like, getting super detailed, but like there are certain things that I think you can identify about him, about his background. Some of which I think are very heavily implied
Yeah.
by his scene with Hiboric,
Yeah.
and that I think Hiboric himself is coming to realize or suspect. I mean, he's a smart dude. Um,
And he's
but
got hands that know things.
yeah. Is there anything else about like the jade statues? Anything we missed there? That stuff's always interesting.
I don't know. I think I had to stop before the end of the conversation between them, so I'm a little bummed that they discussed all about the jade statues, and I'll get
Oh,
there
that
for
stuff's
next
so
week.
good.
But
Yeah, you got
yeah,
to read that.
yeah,
It's really interesting. On a reread, you can just catch so much more and absorb so much
yeah,
more. It is really wonderful. This is you hear it like everyone who likes this series says that like this is a series that's like meant for rereading, and you get so much more and everything. And like that's not to say the first time through isn't awesome. Like it is,
yeah,
but you do miss a lot, and you don't even always realize you're missing things.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Exactly that. It's like, was I in a kind of daze? I had absolutely no remembrance of that scene with Kalam and and the demon.
it
But I
took
think,
a lot
yeah,
for me to remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
It was hysterically, it was actually the urinating that did it for me. I was like, "Oh, wait, that's right, I remember this." What can I say? It was a very, like, kinda boy thing in my head there, but, that was like, "Oh, I actually do remember this." Like, I don't remember the soldiers, I couldn't tell you anything about
Mm,
them, but, um,
yeah.
the demon and that kinda whole scenario, I do remember.
And now that I know a lot of the people who end up in the final books, I am like noticing and tracking them more closely too. So yeah, it's
Yes,
people
same.
who yeah,
There are I'm with you that there are, like, certain characters that I'm, like, first time through, didn't pay any attention to them,
yeah,
and I actually had to go back and, like, remind myself who they were as I got to later books, and now I'm, like,
yeah,
really
that
honed
guy.
in, Like, I'm like, "Oh, man." Um, it's interesting. This is
Yes.
definitely anyway, the point of all of this that I was saying was just to say, if anyone is a first-time reader, don't just, like, roll your eyes at the idea of, like, rereading a series this ginormous. Like, you will feel drawn to do it, first of all, and second of all, it's worth it. Like, you really do it is, like, a whole new experience reading these books for the second time.
Yep, I concur. It is, and I'm really enjoying it. It's feeling
Oh, yeah.
like a breezy adjacent read. I don't think Malazan can be classified as a breezy read ever. Just not because it's difficult to read, but because of the themes that are touched upon, and like even like we didn't really get into great detail, but like in Cutter's emo moments and on racks and
Oh, yeah.
Karsa's, there's just so much depth, and that conversation that we talked about between um on rack and Trull. There's just so much that makes you think. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
No, there are a lot of things that make it, yeah, not a, quote unquote breezy read. Like, I do think the writing sometimes is like it can be dense or
mm,
a little more poetic at times. So you have to like really lean in to follow what it's saying,
mm,
especially whenever magic is involved or it's a
yeah,
fight scene and it's just like chaos. But generally, I don't think it's written in an overly complex style.
mm,
The length of these books definitely adds to the like, you feel it's a grind, you
yeah,
know, in a way that many epic fantasies or the long, the really epic fantasies are.
yeah. Makes sense. Are we ready to do quotes?
Let's do quotes.
Let's do quotes. I highlighted a lot, but I'll just do one quote because
Okay.
it's nice. And also, I mean, I don't know what I did as, oh, that's a great moment versus that's a quote. So we'll leave that. And yeah, Leoman, you and your kind make war against justice. That's not my quote, but I just accidentally saw that. While mine's the epigraph of chapter 9. At night, ghosts come in rivers of grief to claw away the sand beneath a man's feet. I don't think I quite know what that means, but the idea of rivers of grief is just I don't know. It
To
makes me
wa-
want to cry a little bit.
well, and the ghost clawing at the sand, like that is
Yeah.
that's really wonderful imagery. Um,
Yes.
yeah, good stuff. I'm sure I could find a quote, but I have what my older sister calls pup inertia, which is, when a dog is on top of you, and so you just feel like you can't move because you don't want to disturb them. So I'm not going to go get my book, which I failed to do before we started.
That's fine. We can wrap up. I love that pup inertia. Puppy Newton's 3 laws. Anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so we'll see everybody next week with the next 2 chapters, I think 11 and 12. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.